Uh, I'm Dr. Jyoti, and my co-author is Mr. Abhishek. He's there only. And we are doing research in the field of Vedic astrology from Bharat, Delhi, under the guidance of Shri. So that's a small presentation that we have prepared based on the research that we have done on almost more than 100 charts that we have collected. So generally what we observe when we talk about mental disturbances or mental imbalance, what comes to our mind? Like we sometimes come across similar situation, okay, but everybody respond in a different way. Like in this room, we see a couple of students, they are busy in just chatting with each other. So all of us are present here with the same motive. The motive is to listen to the speaker. But see, why some of us are more listening and some are busy in doing other activities. Okay, so because all of us are different, all what makes us different? So we here are proposing a Vedic model. How different people respond differently to the same situation. What could be the reason? Why some people are more prone to mental illness, and what could be the solution for that? So our topic is, we are proposing a Vedic model of emotional balance and mental health, Graha, Guna and mind. So most of the contemporary researchers nowadays are talking about we should go for some integrative approaches wherein we integrate different fields together to find a solution. Like psychology has done a lot to find solutions for mental disorders, but still something is missing. So what is that missing part? So here we are proposing that there should be some integrative approach wherein we club ethical aspects, spiritual aspects as well as psychological aspects to find a solution to these problems. Next. So why we should revisit Jyotish? Because our ancient knowledge system has lot for us. It is for us to take from that. Okay. So here we are not using Jyotish for something which is deterministic. So whenever Jyotish comes to our mind, what we think? Some prediction is to be made, some deterministic approach is there. But here we are not using Jyotish for deterministic purpose. Here we are using it for a phenomenological model, okay, as a framework to guide us, okay, not for a, that's like a psychological symbol. Next slide. So we are proposing here a model, a Vedic model, that is based on three things. One is Graha. Graha is going to decide us our archetypal formulation, what type of person we are. Okay, so that is decided by Graha. Then Guna. Guna is the energetic constitution that makes us, that decides our mental tendencies. And finally Manas. Manas is mind. So the mental processing that keeps on happening in our mind. Each one of us has a different kind of a mindset. So that makes us a different person. So we are clubbing these three things together to come up with some solutions. Next slide. In Sankhya philosophy, there is a Guna theory that talks about three guns. Now these are not moral categories. These are largely ontological, and so if you say, when we talk about Sattva, Sattva is one gun. There's so many things associated with it, but what comes to our mind is emotional clarity. In Rajas, it's activity. In case of Tamas, it's inertia. Okay, next. So whenever there is emotional imbalance, what causes it? Okay, emotional imbalance is because of too much of Rajas or Tamas. So like when you have predominance of Sattva in a person, that will result in resilience. So that person can fight any kind of stressful situation without any problem. There will be more of emotional clarity in that person. But when you have more of Rajas in that person, then it will lead to anxiety and other problems. Too much of Tamas can lead to depression also. Okay, next. So, how we are responding to different situations? The Gunas, that is our energetic constitution, are different. Each one of us are different, so that's why we respond differently. So, when you talk about action, rajas, pleasure, sattva, and delusion is tamas. So this is one aspect. Next. Vedic thought also talk about antakarana model that talks about manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chit. So manas we know is emotional processing, buddhi is discrimination, and ahankar is ego sense. All this is stored in our memory, that is the chit. Next. So in Vedic astrology, moon plays a very important role because moon is the one that is controlling our mind. It is the manas. Okay. So when we look at the chart, the first thing, suppose if the person is more emotionally vulnerable, we can come to know looking at the status of the moon, the condition of the moon. So if the moon is strong, that means the person is most emotionally attuned. But afflicted moon will result in more vulnerability to mood instability. Next. So, why we are talking about Graha as archetype? Because Graha is something, Graha that means planets. So, these are the ones that, it literally means something that grasp. So, this is going to grasp the what kind of emotions that we have. It is all being grasped by the planets are going to affect us and our mind is going to grasp those emotions. Okay, so we are here using these planetary archetypes as a symbol. Okay, and these are not used as a deterministic tool. Next slide. So when we say Graha as an archetype, that means these planets are going to influence us, they are going to influence our mind, and they are going to decide our archetype, that is, they are going to decide our personality. Okay. So when you come across a person, you can say that this is a person which is having a Mars archetype, which means that what is more important in this case? Courage. A Saturn dominated person will be more disciplined. Next. A Jupiter dominated person will show too much of optimism. Next. Mercury, we are talking about cognition and language. Next. A Venus dominated person, it's more about attachment, about desire. A Sun then is identity, vitality. Next. So what we have done, we have clubbed these two things together, the Guna and the Graha. Okay, so that means the archetype and the energetic qualities, they are being clubbed together to decide the personality of a person. So, Rajas largely we have seen as going to activate the archetype, Tamas is going to suppress it, and Sattvic is going to integrate it. Next. So, some examples. When a Mars archetype has distortion by Rajas Tattva or Rajas Gun, then you will see the person will be more showing anger. Similarly, a Saturn, where there is a dominance of Tamas, this might lead to depression. And a Jupiter person which is having the dominance of Sattva, then that is leading to optimism. Next. So this framework is largely non-pathologizing framework, and here we are not saying that if there is an imbalance or there is some kind of a defect. What we are saying that if there is an imbalance, emotional imbalance, then there can be a dominance of one or the other guna. It could be rajas, it could be tamas, which is responsible for it. So there is energetic disproportion, which is responsible for these kinds of emotional imbalances, and the restoration is possible. So now we have looked at the problem, that there is a problem in that particular person, and what could be the solution. Next. So there are remedial practices or apply, like you have mantra, dharma, meditation, charity. Next slide. So when we talk about dharma, dharma is going to lead our life, make it more ethically aligned, and add value to it. So this is going to reduce the inner conflict, and as a result, it is going to predominate the sattva. So whenever we have emotional balance, whenever there is a mental health, we observe in a person, it is largely because of predominance of the sattva. Next. Likewise, mantra. Mantra is going to repattern the cognitive thinking. It is going going to restructure the attention and interrupt whatever bad thoughts are coming in the mind of the person and stabilizes the mind. Next. So mindfulness, so many things we have been talking about that we should live and concentrate in the present. And there are so many things which increase the awareness among us about our gunas, so that can also help, like meditation. Next. And dialogue with psychology, because sometimes whenever we are here not saying that don't consult a psychologist, we are not undermining their importance. We are talking about an approach which is more integrative. So here dialogue with the psychology is also important. We sometimes have to recommend cognitive behavioral therapy also to the person. A positive psychology also is required in many cases. Next. So the idea is sattva is going to increase our resilience. Whenever there is a predominance of sattva, then the problem is solved. Next. But rajas and tamas we can't ignore, because in order for us to get motivated, we need a little bit of rajas also. So that one also we can't completely ignore. And in case of tamas, sometimes it results in, it's important for rest, for grounding, that's also required. Next. So here we are not predicting something, we are not talking about a deterministic model, but we are talking about a phenomenological model which has heuristic value in that sense that we are finding a simple solution for a complex problem. Next. So this is a holistic language, a holistic approach with a central point is the ethics and having existential meaning. So finally we conclude that there is an integration of these three things, Graha, Guna and Manas, and sattvic harmonization is what we are recommending for a good mental health. And here we are advocating the merger of ancient wisdom with modern relevance. Thank you all.
One is, I think you might have explained the limitations of reductionism in the paper, right? So that didn't come up, I mean, it was not part of elaborately. But I'm sure.
So there is a limitation of time, that's right.
Yeah. Second is...
reductionism is basically when we talk about modern psychology, it has answers for all the problems. Nowadays there is no problem, but still, why that lacuna is there? So that reductionist approach is something which is we have to look at, and that's why we people are shifting to more integrative approaches.
So this will get more credence if the reductionist limitations are explained in the that's okay. In the paper, I'm sure you've done it, right? Second is I have a point.
In fact, I put it on the slide also, but I didn't explain in much detail because of the time constraint.
Okay. The second thing I wanted to say was, in the last thing you said was you need a little bit of tamas also, is what you said, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the meaning of sattva is you are still inside, but you have a lot of energy. So you are at rest and you have the energy to do a lot of action at the same time. That is sattva, because you are equanimous, you are actually absolutely clear about what you are doing. So one reaches the state of sattva, doesn't need to come back. Right? So that's one comment that you need to consider.
Yeah, very relevant this thing. I think all separately are being done. Novelty of this is that you are talking of integrating all these things. So, have you got any practical things, that means output? What are the outputs? Have you quantified the success?
So we have collected the data based on 100 charts, more than 100 charts, and we are doing the research is still going on. So it will take some more time. But all these conclusions and everything is on the basis of that research only that we have done on these 100 charts that we have collected.
Jyoti, you have a very novel idea in your presentation that we must go back or look about the Guna that were inscribed so many years back, and we used to listen, but somehow we forgot in the course of development. I just have one question to you. fluctuating behavior in one human being. It's very common. We always find people with. But do you think that there are some good behind it? Has your research done something over it?
Fluctuating behavior in the sense.
In a person, you find them fluctuating. One moment the person is happy, the other moment the person is sad. It's angry, unpredictable.
So here, if you have understood, I have taken into consideration three aspects. One is manas also, that is mind, and that is moon. So if you look at moon keeps changing its position very fast, and moon is responsible for bringing about these fluctuations in our behavior. So in fact, some people are also doing research that whether if you have a lunar cycle, if you study that with the behavior of a person, does it make any differences? But the phases of the moon sometimes also affect some people. But then again, when we look at moon, we have to see like if a moon has too much of benefic influences and it's a stable moon, then generally those people are more emotionally stable. They don't fluctuate. But those people who have a moon which is very fragile kind, which has had some afflictions, then those people show such kind of fluctuations very often, and they are more vulnerable to emotional instability.
Is there any scope for this that person is studied with the say correlation of fluctuating behavior and restless like moon phases along with? And is it possible that he or she gets over it sometimes in life? Still, the moon has.
But there are remedial measures for it also. Like if you strengthen your moon, there are some remedies for it. If you strengthen your moon, then those problems can be sorted out. Like I did mention about so many.
Out of curiosity.
Like mantras do play a very important role. So you can strengthen your moon, and if it gets strengthened, then there will not be any problem.
Okay. See, we are in Indian system, and we know that these things are there. Suppose a person who, like we all know that it's all about belief. It's all about someone who doesn't believe. Do you think you can?
See, it's a very important question, but it's like suppose if I say gravity doesn't exist, कहाँ देख रहे हैं हम gravity को? क्या वो gravity exist नहीं करेगी? It will exist. So if I say anybody saying that astrology has no meaning, I will not believe it because I don't have to prove it. The chart will tell something, and the person will come to see in your future. See, nobody can predict with 100% surety, that is for sure. But at least some things we can predict, or we can, rather prediction is not the right word, we can say looking at the chart.